decided to run a little upgrade. So this gauge is indicating whatever, something weird. So what we're gonna do is indicate something, swap out not correct anything. So we're gonna swap out those rails,
stock rails,
and we're gonna put in these rails and
some band rails.
Exactly, and we're gonna try to see how we can dig. There, that's nice. Ooh, blacked out.
What
So
I like.
thanks for my buddy Duarte for fixing this stuff so quickly from Florida.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Let's see what we can come up with. So we got some rails with the proper gauge, and then some fittings. This is like one of those things that we normally don't use because we completely convert the car to AN, but on this car there's also some of the stock fuel lines still being used. So we're gonna see what kind of AN fittings we're gonna be using and what kind of fittings for a normal hose. Like over here there's already an AN system on the filter. So we got some rails with the proper gauge, and then some fittings. This is like one of those things that we normally don't use because we completely convert the car to AN, but on this car there's also some of the stock fuel lines still being used. So we're gonna see what kind of AN fittings we're gonna be using and what kind of fittings for a normal hose. Like over here there's already an AN system on the filter. So right now, of course, it's a non-returning system like standard, and we want to get to a standard to a returning system and be able to monitor the pressure a little bit better. Like this is one of those things, like it works, but yeah, it's also obviously a little bit hazardous, like something could go wrong. And as I said, the gauge is totally incorrect. It doesn't indicate what it should. So I have to say I'm a little bit impressed here, because these are not the most expensive rails you can get, but they certainly seem to fit well, they work well, and I really like to have the gauge over here. Of course, be very careful that this is NPT thread, so that needs thread locker or Teflon tape or something to work. But it actually went on pretty easy. I have to say I've used much more expensive ones that didn't go on as easy as these. So yeah, good value for money. What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
We're getting somewhere?
Yeah, I'm gonna cut the cable.
Oh yeah, that's much better.
Now I have to I'm busy with this one now.
Yeah, if you drill a hole here, you can tie wrap it to that thing.
Oh, that's the finished part of it, yes.
Now you need to get...
Now I'm gonna get down here and see. I have the line already.
So when we were pulling off the plugs for the injector, we found out there was a problem over here, that one of the lines had come off. And the reason it came off is because this little plug over here was fitted wrongly. As you can see, this consists of two parts. Like the back part over here is what would grip on the rubber or plastic piece, in this case the pink piece, and the piece right in front of it there, that's supposed to grab onto the copper or the metal. However, most people don't have the proper tool, so they simply watch it up a little bit, and then if you mess with the injector plug, it usually breaks and comes off. So I was quite happy that we could take this thing out without the correct tools, and now we need to find a way to connect it together again. So we need to change the FPR routing. The FPR was in the back, and it was like there was no return system like right now. So it needs to be changed, and we need to cap off one of these ports because we're going to run the FPR in the return. I like that setup because it means that there's always a max amount of fuel at the engine, and the fuel pressure gets regulated after the rails. So you always have enough, a big enough amount of fuel in the rail, even if you would add like a supercharger or something like that. Because technically the FPR is limiting, so if you put it in a return, you're not limiting the flow to your rails. However, like we need to find something to plug this port up over here. Solder it a little bit just to be sure. And we found Louis saving the day. plug for the FPR. So now we're going sort of back to stock, so the standard fuel line is going to be used again and the return is going to go to the FPR over here. So we need to find a way to make the return line a little bit longer, and this is going to go to the return of the tank. So basically the FPR sits in the return instead of in the feed. 8 a.m. and I'm on my way to get an alignment on the S14 because tomorrow we're going to go take it drifting. It needs a few things, alignment, I need to grab some rear tires and then have some action. She appears to have a little toe in. That's a lot better.
Yes.
So some toe in on the back, a little bit of toe out on the front, and I think the steering wheel is sitting straight. I like the toe in the rear because it makes the car a little faster during drifting. We're not putting too much in it because the car is also used on the street. Setup last night, there was a little problem, so one of the cylinders was filling up with fuel. It was actually the cylinder where we fixed the plug, so I was afraid that something was wrong with that because it was switching the injector open all the time, but measuring the plugs, they all measure 11.7 volts on the plug, so you measure both of these. And if both of them are basically the battery voltage, then you know that that's correct. So those are all good. So let's hope it's something like Monkeys sent the injectors off to be cleaned. And the setup for the fuel pressure regulator is now the dog making a lot of noise. Obviously I love bulkhead fittings and things, and this is not perfectly the way to do it. Like, this is not like what I would want, but like, it's only so much you can ask for. So yeah, for now this is gonna work for the drifting day tomorrow. Return over here. This is the return that goes to the tank. Obviously the Monkey and Monkey's car. There's another one on the roof over there that looks a little bit worse. Yeah, but so it seems that this car has always only ran very well on low fuel pressure. So I think that something has been wrong with the injectors for a while, so maybe they were clogged or something like that. And obviously that connector being that we did last night, that connector being so badly crimped also didn't work. So yeah, let's see if it gets any better this way. Little bracket, big difference.
Contento com
What's up?
Cool.